With me now at the 4th Annual National Cannabis Therapeutics Convention is Debbie Jeffries, author of the book, I Should Have Been More Prepared, Shouldn't I? Jeffries' Journey. It's an incredible book. Debbie and her mother Lorraine came to our meeting about 2 years ago to talk about it. So tell us a little bit about what Jeffries' Journey, the book, is all about.
Jeffries' Journey is a book about using medical cannabis for therapeutic reasons when all conventional methods of medication would not work. Jeffrey was a very violent, angry child, and he has been on numerous medications, had numerous diagnoses from ADHD, bipolar, intermittent explosive disorder, conduct disorder, and again, none of the medications work. So Jeffrey's journey is about when we took charge of what was going on and put Jeffrey on medical cannabis with a recommendation and how it helped him within 30 minutes.
Now, how old was Jeffrey at that time?
He was 7 years old.
7 years old, and you started him on cannabis.
Medical cannabis.
And what happened?
Within 30 minutes, he was a changed child. And the reason why I say that is because Jeffrey was so violent, he always had to sit in the front car seat with me and hold my hand as we drove. And one morning, it was his first morning of medication. He took it in a quarter of a muffin. 30 minutes later, we were driving down the freeway, and his grip loosened, and all of a sudden he looked at me and smiled and said, "Mommy, my head is not so noisy." I didn't know whether to crash, whether to cry. I didn't know what to do. It was just amazing, and it just stayed with him.
And this was from a boy who could not stay in school, couldn't make friends because of this.
Because of his anger, and he was very violent towards others.
And so what was the upshot? What happened after he started using cannabis to his personal life?
His personal life had changed tremendously. He began having friends in the neighborhood. He had his very first birthday party at 8 years old, where someone actually came. He had, I think there was 8 or 9 kids there. What medical cannabis did was it helped Jeffrey tame the anger and have time to grow up and develop as a normal child.
And how did this? You said he didn't have friends beforehand because he was so violent and angry. He started developing friends. Did their friends' parents know about his?
Yeah.
And how was their reaction? What was the reaction?
Everyone was amazed, that something was working because they saw the difference, especially our neighbors. They saw the difference in Jeffrey. And so, I told them what I was doing. I wasn't going to not tell them. And they allowed their children to play with him. So
now you had some problems legally because of, the idea of giving a child, an 8-year-old child, marijuana kind of raises some eyebrows, and you had some problems about that, didn't you?
Absolutely. Again, I was always upfront and honest with what treatment I was intending on doing. And about 6 weeks later, we got notice that I was being taken to court for being an unfit mom, contributing to a minor. And that court case lasted for nearly 6 months, but we did win the fight.
And what did the judge say?
The judge first apologized to us for having us have to go through this and all the time we wasted because of it. The very first court date that we had, he had said that he's never seen a family so supportive with each other, and he was sorry that we were having to go through it. But he did put a stay-put action on it where Jeffrey could stay put, keeping on his medical marijuana versus having to go back to conventional medication, which didn't work because he'd seen his records and how violent Jeffrey was, and he's so good now.
So the court said you keep doing just what you're doing.
Absolutely. It was a landmark case.
I'll say it was. Well, how did Children's Services react when that happened?
They reacted in a way that I would have anticipated. Kind of, he. It was like, well, they did see the difference in Jeffrey, so that was a good thing. And they knew I was not harming Jeffrey. Jeffrey was not being harmed in any way.
Now, your source of marijuana came from a group called the Women's Alliance for Medical Marijuana, and they were the ones that were raided by the DEA and closed down, and you lost your source of medicine for Jeffrey. What happened when that occurred?
When that occurred, again, Jeffrey had time to grow up, so he knew what it was like to be normal. And when we could not get his supply, the right supply of what he needed, he started to spiral downhill again into anger and violence. And he was aware of it as well, could not control it. And so eventually we had to Jeffrey had to end up in a residential facility again. But it was a positive thing because, again, with the cannabis, he grew up. And this just worked shaping him with his behaviors.
Was he ever able? Did he ever go back on cannabis?
No, he never went back on cannabis. Right now, he's been medication free since the raid.
And do you feel that his use is what you said grew up? Do you think the use is what helped teach him how to behave?
It was a miracle. It was a miracle medication for Jeffrey. It did teach him how to grow up and he get a sense of normality, what it was like to have friends, have birthday parties. Be able to function, without getting so angry over one little thing, a shoelace being untied or anything like that.
Does he miss the medicine? Does he say anything about not having it anymore, not using it anymore?
He does not miss the medicine in that sense, but what he is a big advocate for medical marijuana. He's just, he knows that it helped him, and he's very upfront with how it helped him. And it's incredible to interview with Jeffrey and hear, or just talk to Jeffrey about it and the power that medical marijuana has.
Well, that's what this conference is all about. It's all about the power of medical marijuana, and this is a family that it used its power very well for. Debbie, thank you very much for joining.